Hello, BookTube. Sorry for the barrage of videos today. I missed talking with my imaginary BookTube friends, and I'm experiencing a tiny, tiny uptick in the amount of energy that I feel, so I thought immediately that I would overdo things. So I'm making a bunch of videos today. I probably won't make any this weekend. But right now, I want to do new arrivals. Not quite the same thing as a mail haul. We did a mail haul. I did a mail haul earlier today. That was full of non-binary authors. So it was a little bit tricky to navigate, like a minefield. But it had some real highlights in it, whether they're written by non-binary people or not. And this is different from that because these things were opened off camera. But they are still new arrivals. There are still new books that are out right now or forthcoming in the next few months or next year that you might be interested in. You might be more interested in them than I am. So I thought we'd go through them. The first one is by Muriel Barbary, the author of The Elegance of the Hedgehog, so a lot of you will know this author. This is from the great folks at Europa Editions, and it comes out on September 13th, so that's this last Tuesday. Yeah, so this is out already. This is called A Single Rose. A tiny, slim little thing here. Let's see here. The book follows a 40-year-old Parisian botanist named Rose, who has traveled to Kyoto for the reading of her Japanese father's will, a father she never had the opportunity to meet. Let's see here. If I were a real booktuber, I would present this to you in a way that you could see. Over the ensuing days, Rose is guided on a journey created by her father that attempts to introduce her not only to his home city, but also to him, through the places and people he loved. Along the way, she meets some of her father's friends and colleagues and is introduced to the places her father felt were important, where he loved to eat, and finally to the person who was more important to him than any other. Okay, interesting. So this is out already, and it sounds like, among other things, it will be a love letter to Kyoto, which is always great. Fantastic. Okay. So those of you, I know that some of you like The Elegance of the Hedgehog a lot more than I did, I'm sure of that. So there's a new book that's out now. If this is out now, is this going to be a paperback? Yeah, this is going to be a $17 paperback. Okay. So that's thing number one. Then this next one, a lot of you are fans of this author. This is Sean Bithell, or Bithell, and this is The Remainders of the Day. This is the latest in his bookshop diaries, where he goes through. You know, he runs a used bookstore and he goes through the day's events, what's going on, who's where, and ends every entry with how many customers there were, just the number, and how much the till made that day. So you could just watch that. It's utterly fascinating. I don't have any of these others. Does this list all the others? Diary of a Bookseller, Confessions of a Bookseller, 7 Kinds of People You Find in Bookshops. I want all 3 of those in UK trade paperbacks. And I don't live in the UK. So it kills me because a lot of you do live in the UK, and I am sure that Diary of a Bookseller is in paperback in your Oxfam shop right now. And I would love it. I would buy it if I were there. I'm never going to be there again. But I keep waiting. Sooner or later, some of those will show up in the form that I want. But I wasn't about to turn this down for nothing. This is from the folks at Godine Press, and this comes out in the first week of December. And it's going to be this. I don't think I have a sheet for any of these things, or most of them. This is going to be the same thing. Any of you know this author will know the shtick here. The bookshop in Wigtown, Scotland, is a book lover's paradise, brimming with thousands of books across nearly a mile of shelves, a real log fire, and Captain, the portly bookshop cat. I guess nobody's perfect. Through his diaries of daily life, bookseller Sean Bithell has created an endearing and cozy world of book lovers. Now comes his latest, Remainders of the Day, filled with his persnickety warmth and humor that has touched readers around the world, stuffed with literary treasures, hidden gems, and incunabula. This is a warm and welcome memoir of a well-lived life in books. And that's exactly what I've heard from all these others. I have the ebook, I think, of the first one, Diary of a Bookseller. But I don't have any of the others, and I don't have print copies of any of these. So it's pure bookish delight, it sounds like. The type of things that's very, very low stakes. It can still be done wrong, but it's really enjoyable when it's done right. Then this next one, A Cause for Joy. This is a paperback original. This is going to be $16. I don't have a sheet for this, so I don't know when it comes out, but it It gives the lie to a comment that I often make about science fiction and fantasy in the United States. I often say that science fiction and fantasy really eats its progeny, their progenitors. They don't honor in reprint culture the greats of their past in the plenitude that you wish they would. The Asimov will almost always be reprinted. Heinlein, Stranger in a Strange Land, will almost always be reprinted. But you walk down the science fiction aisle of a retail bookstore, you're not going to see anything like a selection of the greatest works of the genre. So when I get a reprint of a science fiction work, I'm very happy. And when it's a reprint of a great science fiction work, all the better. This is The Face of the Waters by Robert Silverberg in a new paperback edition. It doesn't look as good as the mass market paperback. Here, we have to pause. The noisiest street anywhere in the United States is extra noisy today. And I don't want to just be screaming over sirens. It's not an emergency siren because there isn't any emergency. That the person is running the siren in order to not stop at lights. That's all. But anyway, this is. Well, let me read you about it. This is one of Robert Silverberg's greatest novels, and here it is reprinted. That is fantastic. Deep in the future, after a human offense against the natives of Hydros, this is a water world named Hydros, the human population of an island of the Sorve are ordered to leave. They become a flotilla of refugees. Forbidden on all other islands, in a flotilla of ships they seek the semi-mythical island of the Face of the Waters. During their journey, they are forced to learn more about themselves, leading to questions about life, love, religion, and the essential purpose of humanity, all while facing danger from outside and within. So a vague cover description, but a fantastic book. Beautiful world building and an achingly sad ending. I was overjoyed to see this come back into print in an edition that's, granted, overpriced, but there's going to be a paperback of this in bookstores all over the country. That's wonderful news. Then we have a couple of things from my beloved W.W. Norton, the folks at W.W. Norton, and they are both upcoming releases for 2002, one in November and one in December, and they're both about T.S. Eliot in one way or another. The first one is about the women in Eliot's life, one in particular. This is by Lyndall Gordon, and it's called The Hyacinth Girl, T.S. Eliot's Hidden Muse. And again, I don't have a sheet for this, but this comes out in November. There'll be text in here, though. Yes. Among the greatest of poets, T.S. Eliot protected his privacy while publicly associated with 3 women, 2 wives, and a church-going companion. Yet he concealed a long-time love for an obscure American, Emily Hale, a drama teacher to whom he wrote and later suppressed more than 1,000 letters. Hale was the source of, quote, memory and desire in the wasteland. Leading biographer Lyndall Gordon reveals a hidden Eliot through both sides of the recently unsealed Hale correspondence. So that correspondence is now available for scholars. Also offering new insights into the other spirited women who shaped his life and art. Vivian, the flamboyant wife with whom he shared a private wasteland. Mary Trevelyan, his companion in prayer. And Valerie Fletcher, a young disciple to whom he proposed when his second chance with Emily foundered. Though Eliot kept his woman apart, they spurred his transformation as expatriate, convert, and finally, a man made for love. Lyndall Gordon is the author of 8 acclaimed biographies, including one of T.S. Eliot. And this is a book about Emily Hale, as much as it is about him. Fantastic. So that comes out later this year. Too further ahead down the line for me to read right now. But I thought you would want to know about it. A lot of Eliot fans out there. Although a lot of fans out there are bigger fans of Eliot than I am. Then this next one's also about Eliot in a way. This is Matthew Hollis. This is his book, The Wasteland, a biography of a poem. Fantastic cover there with the typeface just falling down like that. Renowned as one of the world's greatest poems, The Wasteland has been said to describe the moral decay of a world after war and the search for meaning in a meaningless era. It has been labeled the most truthful poem of its time. It has been branded a masterful fake. A century after its publication in 1922, so this is the centenary of it, T.S. Eliot's enigmatic masterpiece remains one of the most influential works ever written, yet one of the most mysterious. In a remarkable feat of biography, Matthew Hollis reconstructs the intellectual creation of the poem and brings the material reality of its charged times vividly to life. Presenting a mosaic of historical fragments, diaries, dynamic literary criticism, and illuminating new research, he reveals the culture and personal trauma that forged The Wasteland through the lives of its protagonists, of Ezra Pound, who edited it, and it shows, of Vivian Elliott, who sustained it, and of T.S. Eliot himself, whose private torment is woven into the seams of the work. Okay. And this author also has written biographies. And his biography, Now All Roads Lead to France, A Life of Edward Thomas, won the Costa Biography Award. And he's the poetry editor at Faber and Faber. So 2 Eliot books to round out the end of this year. Those are not next year items. Then this next one, what have we got here? This is next year. This comes out in January. This is by Peter Turchi, and it's called Don't Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, and Other Essays on Writing Fiction. Don't stop me if you've heard this before. I don't know if I'm doing Peter Turchi a disservice. Is he actually Turkey? I don't know which would be worse. Why people can't be named Donahue, I don't know. But let's see what we can learn about this thing. So this comes out, this comes out in late January. Hold this up here like a good little presenter. In this book, the author combines personal narrative and close reading of a wide range of stories and novels to reveal how writers create the fiction that matters to us. Building on his much-loved Maps of the Imagination. Oh, I read Maps of the Imagination. I rather liked it. It's really popular, too, in writing programs, in MFA programs. It's a really popular book. The author leads readers and writers to an understanding of how the intricate mechanics of storytelling, including shifts in characters' authority, subtle manipulation of images, careful attention to point of view, the strategic release of information, and even digressing from the apparent story, can create powerful effects. Okay, great. Well, I'm amply on record on this channel, especially as we gear up for Preptember, Preptober, and NaNoWriMo. I'm amply on record on this channel saying that the best possible book about writing is for you to just keep writing. You will learn and make your own mistakes and learn your own strengths a lot faster by doing it every day than by reading about doing it. But some writing books are really good. This could be one of them. I won't know until next year. This next one is a murder mystery set in County Kerry. It's set in Ireland. It's No Strangers Here by Carlene OConnor, whose name might be familiar to some of you as the author of a whole string of Irish cozy mysteries. Death in an Irish Bookshop is one of them. I don't understand cozy mysteries. They've never really worked for me. I don't really get them. If there's a murder, I want there to be horror and indignation, not baguettes and cozy firesides and tea cozies. I want there to be all the appurtenance, the moral appurtenances of murder, not just something for the characters to do. But a lot of you are big cozy murder mystery fans, and so you might know this author, but this is not a cozy murder mystery. This is the first book of hers in a series. When does this come out? November. This is the first book of hers in a new series that is not a cozy murder. It's grittier. It's more procedural. Let's see here. On the rocky beach in southwest Ireland, the body of Jimmy O'Reilly, 69 years old and dressed in a suit and his dancing shoes, is propped on a boulder, staring sightlessly out to sea. Someone dressed him up, or found him that way. A cryptic message is spelled out next to the body with 69 polished black stones, and a discarded vial of deadly veterinarian medication lies nearby. Jimmy was a wealthy racehorse owner, known far and wide as the Dancing Man, in a town like Dingle. So many doleful sentences could end that start with, in a town like Dingle. If any of you are not familiar with Dingle and the whole of the peninsula, you really have to be there to know what I'm talking about. You have to experience it to know what I'm talking about. In a town like Dingle, everyone knows a little something about everyone else, but dig a bit deeper and there's always much more to find. And when Detective Inspector Cormac O'Brien is dispatched out of Killarney to lead the murder inquiry, he's determined to unearth every last buried secret. Dimpna Wild hasn't been home in years. She's the main character, I think, of the book. As picturesque as Dingle might be for tourists in search of their roots or the perfect jumper, to her it means family drama and personal complications. In fairness, Dublin hasn't worked out quite as she hoped either. Faced with a triple bombshell, her mother's rumored to be in a relationship with Jimmy, Her father's dementia is escalating, and her brother is avoiding her calls. She moves back to clear her family of suspicion. Despite plenty of other suspects, the guards are crawling over the wilds. But the horse business can be a brutal one, and as she becomes more involved with her old acquaintances and haunts, the depths of lingering grudges become clear. Theft, extortion, jealousy, and greed. As she takes over the family practice, she's in a race with the detective inspector to uncover the dark, twisting truth, no matter how close to home it strikes. The one thing that's not mentioned there is that she's a veterinarian. I'm pretty sure she's a veterinarian. Pretty sure that's the family practice that she's taking over. And that she tried to be a veterinarian in Dublin and it didn't work out. It's odd that I'm not seeing that. That didn't appear to be in that description, but I'm pretty sure that that is the book. But anyway, no strangers here. So who killed the dancing man? Was it someone on a book-buying expedition from a little bit further north, perhaps? Have to read it to find out. Then finally, this thing, which I don't, again, think, oh no, I do have a sheet for this. Comes out in September, no specific date. I bet this is out already. This is by Charlie Lovett, and it is Lewis Carroll, Formed by Faith. And it's about the religious side of Lewis Carroll. The first book of its kind that I have read that concentrates on that side of this author. What do we got here? For Lewis Carroll, who was a deacon in the Church of England, faith in Christ and belief in a loving God stood at the core of his being, but little has been written about what the church and faith meant to the celebrated author of the Alice books. With this book, the author provides the first in-depth study of the religious life of the famous author, whose real name was Charles Lutwidge Dodgson. By examining Dodgson's religious education and core beliefs, this book shows how a deep Christian faith undergirded and guided every part of his life and work. From his relationships with children to his renowned writings, his work on logic, and even his hobbies of photography and theater going. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Can't wait. Not a big fan of Lewis Carroll's writing. I've read a couple of good biographies of him, but the pub sheet is entirely right. I've read nothing that concentrates this way, and I want to. So, fantastic. And there you go. Those are our new arrivals for today. We have Lewis Carroll, Formed by Faith, a religious biography of Lewis Carroll. We have No Strangers Here by Carlene OConnor. I think her first foray into non-cozy murder mysteries. We have Don't Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, a bunch of precepts about writing fiction. We have The Wasteland, biography of a poem. The author looks at T.S. Eliot and his writing process through the work of one poem. Could be fascinating. Those kinds of books can be. Then The Hyacinth Girl, a biography/study of one of the women in T.S. Eliot's life. The Face of the Waters by Robert Silverberg. Never thought I would see this in print again. Fantastic to see it. The Remainders of the Day, the latest Diary of a Bookseller book. And finally, A Single Rose, a little novella from the author of The Elegance of the Hedgehog. Set, it sounds like, largely in Kyoto. So quite a bit of reading there. Well, quite a bit of it that will be on the immediate docket for me. Lots and lots of reading to do. It's a lucky thing that's all I do. Anyway, I thought I'd show them to you in case some of them are of interest to you. So I'll wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.